check. 1 2 1 2. This is mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Welcome, everybody, here to the X Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you all are having a fantastic Saturday. I know I am. As you guys can see, unfortunately, I am all by myself yet again. Seems to kind of be a reoccurring theme here on the show. But no skin off my nose. Obviously, the show must go on, so I am still here. I have yet to miss a day, actually, of actually being here at the show, except for the time that we took off on the hiatus and, the few times that I haven't been on screen, I've kind of always been here, so, of course, I have to always be here. But I'm not alone, of course. Jake Bradley is with me as well. Unfortunately, though, due to some redecorating that has been going on in our studio, the speakers are not up so that he can talk. I mean, he'll yell through the screen most likely at me, and I'll try to reiterate. I'm not reiterating that one, but yeah, he'll. I'll do my best. But it's for those that like that kind of back and forth. Trust me, we like it too. We're gonna try to bring it back. We need to work on it, and it's not really our call at the end of the day, unfortunately. But I hope you guys are ready to enjoy this show because we did have some kind of pre-planned stuff planned eventually, and then. Some things took a little bit of a turn last night, and now, unfortunately, now we're at this point where we are kind of just going to have to do a little bit of a wherewithal. But luckily, you guys have been submitting questions for quite a while, and some of them personal, some of them sports-wise, some of them are a little bit of a mix, actually. And so I thought, it'd be good to take the time that we have here to do the show. And since I'm by myself, well, why don't we just go through some of these fan questions? So I hope you guys are ready to get this one started because I know I am, so let's kick it off. And we're going to start this one off with a fairly simple question. Of course, football's in effect, so I thought it'd be really good if we kind of start with a football question. And it's one that we've kind of talked about a little bit, but not too much in depth. But I thought it'd be nice if we kind of went a little bit more in depth in this. But this comes from John. John is actually from New York itself. He's from New York City. And he says, I'm an avid New York Giant fan, but he's like, I just don't know what to think of the New York Giant quarterback situation. He says, I really do like Daniel Jones. Honestly, after what I've seen from the preseason, I think he can actually be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. But I just trust in Eli Manning to possibly get the job done, even though I know he's aging more and more. What are your thoughts, Andrew? I'd really love to get an approach on this. And first off, and he doesn't say my name. I've plugged that in there myself. Excuse me. But he's asking us basically what we think about the possible quarterback competition that's there for the New York Giants. Honestly, I don't know if there is a competition in New York with the Giants, right? Like I think they're kind of sold to say that Eli's the starter at this point. I mean, they understand that Daniel Jones is having a fantastic preseason, but Tom said it before. We've kind of said it before. It is just preseason. He's not playing against the cream of the crop. If he was, that would be a completely different story. But for what we've seen, yeah, it's great. It looks good for this guy. Don't get me wrong. But we have seen better, right? I mean, there's been better moments for him. There's been better moments for Eli. I mean, the contest between these two is certainly very tough because while Eli has been the consummate starter for ever, right, since 2004, and there's never been another quarterback that's taken over the job of being the starter, really. And even in 2004, he wasn't really the starter at first. It was Kurt Warner, and then he came in and kind of filled in the last leg of the league, the last leg of the season, and started 7 games out of 9 games he played. So, Eli is an interesting commodity because you wonder, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback or not? I can't tell. I really can't tell. I think he's at that level where we can maybe say he's possibly a Hall of Famer. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He won the 2016 Walter Payton Award. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion, but no MVPs. He doesn't have a Super Bowl MVP. He's Eli Manning. He's Peyton's younger brother. He's Archie's son, and that's kind of it, right? He's known for that kind of stuff. He's known for the controversy at the 2004 draft where he said he didn't want to get drafted by San Diego. He got drafted and then got traded to the Giants for, Phillip Rivers. So, it's tough to say where his legacy's at. Is he still a good quarterback? Yeah, I think he's still a good quarterback. I think he's a guy that can still get the job done. I mean, for the times he's made the Pro Bowl, I mean, it's because he's played out very well. I mean, he's had really good seasons. But, even last year was not a dump of a season into 2018. 5-11, yes, that's not good. That's a losing season. But he threw for over 4,000 yards. He threw more touchdowns than interceptions, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Completed 66% of his passes. Career high for him, mind you that. Career high in completion percentage. So, it's tough, man. It is tough to tell exactly where he's at in his game right now. Do I think he can still play an elite level? Yes, absolutely. The record, of course, says something else. 116 wins, 117 losses. That's kind of hard, but it is a winning record, right? And if you're Baker Mayfield, if you're a winner, you're A+ in his book, right? Daniel Jones hasn't won anything. But for what he's done in the preseason thus far, he's played in 3 games, he's 25 for 30, 83% completion rating. It's pretty good. 369 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. It's been sacked twice. And, he has a minor rushing attempt, only 1. But a 140 quarterback rating. And, I mean, it's preseason, yes. But you got to think the Giants are pretty happy with that. Right? Because everybody was looking at this kid thinking he's nowhere near the number 6 pick, right? And I agree. He was nowhere near the number 6 pick. You're talking about a quarterback you probably could have got in the mid to late 2nd rounds, maybe even early 3rd rounds, possibly, right? It's tough to tell. Do I think Daniel Jones has the stuff to cut the to muster to be able to deal with being the starting quarterback of the New York Giants when they don't have really any major weapons to work with? Yeah, I think he could, right? My big question really is Eli Manning working with this kid? That's really what I want to know too. Because Eli Manning knows at this point his career is coming to an end very soon, right? The numbers are dwindling fast. So for him to kind of sit there and watch this kid play in the preseason and play very well, mind you, it must be difficult. But he also knows that he's been doing this so long that his job has to be secure with the Giants. But I hope that he's doing something to help this kid because even he has to understand when he's done playing football, the Giants could be very well off with this kid. You got to remember, this guy's 6'5", 220, same size as Eli, makes the same facial emotes that Eli does, right? We joke about that, But in a lot of ways, they're very similar. The difference that I see with these two guys is that Daniel Jones just has a little bit more touch on his accuracy than what Eli Manning has had, where he kind of just rockets the ball out there and tries to go long ball with guys, and that's his game, right? I think Daniel Jones can do it. I mean, I think he can. That's the thing. I think. Not I'm sure, I'm 100% positive. Is he going to be the starting quarterback at some point? Oh, yeah, he's going to have to. Unless they're going to pull another thing out, like a Josh Rosen thing where they trade him out, which me and Jake once before, we discussed that when we had a solo show before. The possibility of the Giants maybe trading Daniel Jones and then going and getting another quarterback in next year's draft, and then Eli maybe retires the year after that, and they take over as the starting quarterback, or maybe even in that year, right? And then Daniel Jones goes to some team, that needs a quarterback or a backup quarterback, right? It's possible. It's very possible. But I feel like there's a good chance here that Daniel Jones proves something to the Giants. So I don't think that this quarterback battle is I think this quarterback battle is non-existent. But quarterback controversy is there, certainly. Because if Eli doesn't play well, after what we've seen in the preseason, Daniel Jones feels like a guy who might be able to step in and make plays. Now, can he be a guy that can go from the first game of the season to the last game of the season playing at an efficient level? That's something we haven't seen yet. That's something we may not even see at all this year, right? I feel like he'll be a halfway through the season type of add-on to kind of just see, okay, what do we have with this kid, right? Or he'll be there for when Eli Manning gets hurt. It's hard to tell. I want to believe that this kid is going to be really, really good. I want to hope that this kid's going to be really, really good. I want to see him live out his dream of being an NFL quarterback. But it's just hard, man. It's hard to tell. It's hard, guys, to be able to kind of tell if he's a really good quarterback. I just don't know. And it's not even having to just do with the fact that he's from Duke, right? Which Duke does not have a good reputation of NFL quarterbacks, unfortunately. They just don't. They're known for basketball. They're known for a couple of baseball guys here and there, and that's about it. Duke doesn't, and lacrosse too. You forget about lacrosse. But Duke is one of those places where, every now and then you see a football player come out of there, but you're not really looking at that to be the spot that you're drafting your best player, maybe. Duke is usually a place where you're going to find guys to fill out the roster. But could Daniel Jones maybe break the mold on that? It's very possible. I hope it happens. I want to see this guy succeed. He intrigues me. He's not a talker, right? Baker's slamming him, and he doesn't say much of anything. Shermer's the one that goes to Daniel Jones's defense. And he did it in a pretty funny way. And he said, that's not really an original opinion, Baker, that you're shocked that, the Giants took Daniel Jones. Because I don't know if he noticed, but everybody else on NFL draft night, from Twitter to the television, were saying that. So it's not really an original opinion. Daniel Jones, I think he's a good quarterback. Can he be great? Can he transform the Giants into a franchise that is successful again? I don't know. And a lot of that goes to also, I don't know if Pat Shurmur can also be the answer there too. So the next question we've got here, and this one was really good. This comes from Jamie, and this is Jamie in Westmont. So Jamie is asking, he says, being here in Chicago, we also, we've heard a lot of things with football and stuff considerably with running back and this and that. But you mentioned something with the whole running back of the Bears, excuse me, compared to Ezekiel Elliott. And I saw where Tom said if Ezekiel Elliott was on the Bears, you would not see them being a Super Bowl team. You would not want that. And you said, no, you wouldn't. Do you actually, were you saying that to be funny, or were you actually being realistic about that Tell us the truth. I like that. Just tell us the truth. You put that in big exclamation points. That's really good. Thank you, Jamie, for the question. Yeah, I believe that. I really believe that. I think this Bears team is good enough to get to a Super Bowl, right? The defense is stacked. Yes, we've lost a few pieces here and there. But if everybody's healthy and playing at an elite level, of course, I mean, at that point, of course, everything's going to look good. But if everybody's playing and healthy, I think this defense is definitely in the top 3, maybe even number 1, right? Last year, by the statistics, Baltimore was number 1. But by overall production of the defense, Bears were number 1. It's pretty hard to beat off, But yeah, the Bears offense, yes, if we had Ezekiel Elliott, I'm sure things might run a little bit smoother for the Bears. But with me, I take a lot of things into account, right? Ezekiel Elliott is a really good running back. I am not denying that, right? Is he certainly the second best running back in the league right now? Sure. There's an argument that could be made. He's maybe even the best running back in the league, right? I find that, I find that harder to say, though, because when you look at the league now, what is everybody doing at a running back position? You're not just running the ball anymore. You're catching the ball. And while Zeke is getting better at that, he's not one of the best. He's decent. He's not great. He's okay. He's not perfect. He's great at running the ball between the tackles. He's very reminiscent of an Emmitt Smith in that sort of fashion, where Emmitt Smith was really good at running the ball. Throw him a pass, 50-50 chance, right? Not to say Emmitt's not a good running back, but he wasn't the best receiver on the team. That's why you got Michael Irvin, right? That's why you got Harper. That's why you've got these other players out there to make those catches. The Bears, honestly, for what we're paying our running backs to do, we've got a nice three-headed monster at running back. A monster's maybe loosely used as the term, but they're good runners. They're good running backs. Tariq Cohen's a really good proven running back to be able to make plays. Receiving-wise, rushing-wise, he's done a lot. David Montgomery's the unproven rookie, but he's somebody that everybody is pegging to be a really good running back. He came on my radar early before the college season started, and then when I went to Notre Dame, I met up with Jake's sister there, Andrea, and she brought up David Montgomery for fantasy football when they were talking, and I was totally in agreement with her when she said, I really want David Montgomery, and I said, I agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that because he's a really good running back. He was really good at Iowa State. He not only showed the strength and poise to be able to run through players and break tackles, he showed the ability to make them miss, all at the same time also being a really good pass catcher and a pretty decent blocker at that too. And then you add in Mike Davis, who is sort of more seen as a power back, right? Give the ball to him, and he's just going to run up for the third down conversion on a 3rd and 1 or a goal line score, right? He's kind of that kind of running back. But even he can catch passes out of the backfield. He did it in Seattle. He did a really good job of it in Seattle. And he's got a couple moves to make people miss. We've got 3 really good running backs, and the amount that we're paying them is peanuts compared to what Ezekiel Elliott wants. Is it better to have 3 guys that can do the same things that the one guy can do? That's always a big question. Because if you got 3 guys, but you're paying them, a small fraction of what you'd have to pay Ezekiel Elliott, to some people that's beneficial, but to some people that's also a very crowded backfield. And I get that. It's a little bit difficult when you got a lot of people working in one area, right? It's like people that go into an office, and I've seen this before at my job and a few other places that I work at. There are offices that have the door, right? Regular office that has the door, and then inside there is like 4 cubicles. And it's like, what? It gets crowded in there. And you know what happens sometimes when that kind of situation goes down? There's a little bit less production because it's a little bit more crowded. It gets hot in there. It gets stuffy. You have to constantly walk away from your desk. Maybe you don't even like the people you're in the room with. Or maybe you do like them, but then all of a sudden you're like, I can't stand you, Jim. You're ridiculous. Every time you take a bite out of your crunch bar or whatever, I just want to throw you out the window, right? I mean, you get to that point. And that could happen with the Bears where frustrations start to boil over because maybe one running back's having a better season than the other, or maybe one running back's more efficient than the other. I don't know. But for Ezekiel Elliott, there's a lot that I take into account with that, right? Ezekiel Elliott is a running back of great ability. Strong, big, physical. Everything about him says top 5 running back. Number 2 running back in the NFL. But there's the other side to this that people are not looking at that I think everybody doesn't want to talk about or they just ignore. A lot of fans do this. I'm not trying to blame the fans out there. I'm just saying there's a lot of fans of football that do this. They don't take into account that each of these guys are human. And from that, there can be good and bad from that. In Ezekiel Elliott's case, I'm talking about the bad from that. Because being a human, we all have an ego. We all have some sort of egotistical feelings about things, right? As much as we joke about it, we all feel that we're the best at doing this kind of stuff, right? I sit up here and I say to myself, I'm a very humbled individual, but at the same time, I can't help but kind of throw my ego around a little bit and say, hey, I got my own TV show, or YouTube show. I mean, it's, again, it's not something that maybe people would be like, really way to brag about that one. But, it's something that's mine, and it's something that I've created, and I've been able to build with a group of people that have been fantastic for me, and I've been so glad to have them, and in that way, I am humble. But for Ezekiel Elliott, the ego, the immaturity, all of that is mixing together, and you're getting this guy who makes a lot of bad decisions left and right, it seems, every year, constantly in the news, always ending up in court for something. Not all of it is all his fault, it seems, but it just seems like more and more we're getting this guy who seems to get into a lot of trouble. His father said when he got drafted, I don't know if he's mature enough to be able to handle this. I question if he's ready and prepared to be able to handle what's ahead of him. That's a bit of a red flag, I would say. That's your own father saying that about you, a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, right? He was already being deemed a top 5, top 10 pick before he got drafted. Goes 4th overall to the Cowboys, and his father says, I just don't know if he's ready mentally and mature enough to be able to handle what the NFL and living this kind of lifestyle is going to be about. And he does all of these things now, and now he's holding out for camp on a 2-year deal still that he still has 2 years left on his contract, right? He wants to be the highest paid running back. The Cowboys are trying to do everything they can to set it up so that Ezekiel Elliott can be paid. And what do the Cowboys do? Well, they make an offer to Dak Prescott to see if they can get that deal done. And Dak says, no, I want 40. Okay. I understand that. I get it. I don't think he's worth it, but okay, I get it. But then what's the next move they make? They pay Jalen Smith? What? Middle linebacker Jalen Smith gets paid a 3-year, $65 million extension, I think it was? Yeah. 3 years, $65 million extension. Jalen Smith, the linebacker? Why? I'll tell you why. Tells Ezekiel Elliott, the guy that's there in camp, it's not saying a whole lot. Right? The only words that have come out of Jalen Smith's mouth about this whole situation, when they asked him about Ezekiel Elliott, what did he have to say? I'm here. I'm at camp. I'm doing my thing. That's all he said. And everybody from Dallas Cowboys Nation went crazy because they said, Jalen Smith just called out Ezekiel Elliott. Oh, man, that's great. Maybe he did. I don't know. To me, I just kind of take it as he was just trying to get away from the question, right? He's not really a media-friendly kind of guy. Not in that sense. He just doesn't like talking with the media. That's all. He's just not really that big of a boastful talker. His talk comes on the field where he plays outstanding. And I totally understand why they gave him the contract extension, because he's a really good linebacker. But it sends a message to Zeke, the guy who's always in camp, here every day, just practices, doesn't talk, right? He gets an extension before you get the extension because you've dragged this whole thing through the mud. Now, me and Jake were just talking on putting up points. Go check that out, by the way, on sportstownchicago.com. And also the replay will be on anchor.fm /xbomb. I believe that's it. So when that goes up there, we'll throw the links up there as well for you guys to be able to check out too. But we talked about this, and, Jerry Jones saying Zeke who, that's not cool. Right, that's your boss saying that about an employee. That's pretty low ball and hit. Right, my boss says that about me, which I'm sure he has. I'm very positive my boss has said that about me before. But if I ever heard him say something like that, I would be upset too, because it's like, oh, you don't value me, you don't think I'm valuable to the team, you don't think I'm valuable to the group. Well, then what am I doing here? Why am I taking orders from you, right? Why deal with this situation? I don't know. So I get why Zeke is upset with that. But at the same time, Zeke, you've been playing games like this for a while. And I still hold true to my opinion. I said I'm putting up points. I think this is something that will eventually get done. He'll get his new deal with the Cowboys. Right? He will go on and sign that contract in like week 3 at the latest. I will now even push it farther back. Week 4 at the latest, I will say too. Right? Of the NFL season, week 4 of the NFL season. It could be earlier. I don't know. But I feel like the longest it will go is at least to week 4 in the extreme. But the reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like Zeke is going to do that because, again, the immaturity is going to come out in him and say, let's see how you guys like playing without me. Right? Now, the bad side of this is if they go 0-4 because he's not there, well, they kind of says something bad, right? I mean, that says, well, we need Zeke. What I'm waiting for, though, is if in those 4 weeks they go 4-0 without him, oh, guess what? If I'm Jerry Jones, I would tell Zeke, why don't you sit out the whole year? Because at this rate, we're going to the Super Bowl if you don't play. Look, Zeke's a really good running back. And if he was on the Bears, okay, that'd be great. But if this is the guy that I'm getting, this Ezekiel Elliott in this universe, I don't really want it. It's too much money. It's too much of a headache. Too much immaturity. Too much childish work. I don't even know if Matt Nagy would be able to handle this. You know what's great about David Montgomery? He's a very mature young man. You know what's great about Tariq Cohen? He's a mature young man. You know what's great about Mike Davis? He's a very mature young man. Maturity counts for something in sports. Talent's great. Maturity helps. It strengthens you as a person. It helps your personality, makes you more likable. It helps you even as a player because when you're more mature in your thought process as a player, you're able to process things maybe a little bit better and faster and make the right decisions, right? Instead of trying to be the flashy passer, in basketball, with the bounce pass behind the back, all of a sudden, now over the head throw, bounce pass, whatever, to the open man, who's not trying to drive it in to dunk it, probably the smarter way to go. Just use your head. That's all I'm saying. I like Zeke. As a player, I like him. But all this extra stuff, I'll do without it. Stand by what I say. All right, so this next question, this comes from Tavon, and it's actually from Akron, Ohio. And Tavon First off, your email has a lot of emojis in it. I know I could pull it up on my phone and see it. He has. There's way too many emojis in this thing. Okay, not to say it's not appreciated, man. I'm just saying it's a lot. But Tavon basically is asking, why is it that I don't like LeBron James, right? What is it about LeBron James I just don't like? I take a lot of shots at this guy, right? Things like that. What is it about LeBron James I don't like? I am going to say this as clear as day for everybody to understand so we can finally set the record straight when I say this. I do not hate anybody. There is nobody I hate. Because hate is wasted energy. That's my personal belief. Don't hate anybody because that's just wasted energy. You can dislike somebody. I dislike a lot of people. I can heavily dislike a lot of people too. There's a lot of those. But I don't hate anybody. I don't hate LeBron James. But you want to know, but there are things that I will say that I do actually very much so dislike when it comes to LeBron James, right? Because while I may not particularly like the player, right? I might not like the player because of the fact that he's beat the Bulls so many times, right? But I respect the player because he plays so well. He always scores. He always comes clutch. He's a really good basketball player, or has been at least, for a lot of his career. He's won championships. Granted, he's lost more than he's won, which makes me smile, right? At the same time, he's a really good basketball player, and I gotta respect him for that. He's one of those guys that when we talk about players who we would put on the legacy players of the league to say, if you could pick some players out to say how they would represent the NBA, who would you pick? You would say probably Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Dr. J, Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James would be there. And then like Steph Curry and maybe Zion, depending. I don't know. But but that's the thing. It's like he's a pillar of the NBA. He's one of those guys that we will always measure to be one of the greatest of all time. I put him as the greatest small forward of all time because that's how I like to do things. I think he was the greatest player for the 2010s. I think that's fair to say. Or at least for half of the 2010s, he was the greatest player here in the NBA. But that's just me for the 2010s and at small forward all time. But I don't hate LeBron James. I respect the athlete. I love the person. Love the person. The person that is LeBron James is the person that gives the money to the kids to go to college, pay for all their tuitions, right? The person that is LeBron James opens up schools all over Ohio and some places in the country so that kids can go to school and get their education. The person that is LeBron James shows he cares and how charitable he is and does all these things for people, right? I love that guy. That guy is awesome. Respect the player. Love the person. You know what I don't like, though? The celebrity. The movie producer, the part owner of Clutch Sports, the guy who's going to be in Space Jam, the 2, and, is all these commercials and stuff, and, gets in front of the podium and has to say, I'm the greatest basketball player in the world. How can people disrespect me like this? I hate that guy. I hate that guy. I hate the celebrity. I strongly dislike that celebrity. I know, I won't go back on my word. But I don't like that guy. I respect the player. I love the person. But it's the celebrity for LeBron that I can't stand. Because the celebrity always needs to be in the spotlight, right? The whole, the whole thing about the Clutch Sports, the Rich Paul rule thing, right? I still stand adamant that his whole little Twitter beef about that really comes from a place of, and I bet he did feel that way, and I'm glad they remended that rule because I did see that this was maybe not the best way to maybe do things, the whole college degree thing. I just thought that it might be a bit of a help, but I understand where it's kind of coming from and where people are coming from with it as well. But to say that it's all about targeting Rich Paul and stopping him and stopping you from making money and stuff, that to me is a little bit very narcissistic and very egotistical. Like, where do you get off thinking that this is all about you, man? I'm sorry, LeBron, that we put this rule out there and that you feel like it was sliding to you. But I was just shocked that he instantly went to, oh, it's all about stopping me, is it? It's all about, yeah, the world's against me. Everybody wants to, the world's against me and Rich Paul. Nobody likes clutch sports. Really, LeBron? That's how you're going to act about it? You're not going to say, you know what, this could be a really good setup for a lot of the high school kids. This could be a great way to kind of weed out maybe some of the bad eggs. Because we talked about this before, and I stay adamant with some of that stuff in the rules. I think is really good because I'm very opposed to the guy. I'm very opposed to the idea, and I get it. Sometimes you can trust only who you can trust. But I just don't know if the AAU coach that coached you when you were a kid or your parents, per se, or your brother or your cousin should be your manager. Or your agent, excuse me. I'm sorry. I just don't see that being a good positive thing. Again, I know there's a lot of skeezy people out there that are managers and agents and stuff, and it's hard to know who to trust, right? It's hard to know who to trust. But if you're a good enough player, the best ones are out there. You can find them. You can always find them. Or they will find you. Trust me. But for the small name guys, I understand. I get it. I really do. But just be careful with those individuals as well because you never know. We've heard a lot of stories where right? Adrian Peterson, again, $100 million in his career. He's got nothing because he trusted the wrong people. And I know this is a little off topic, but like these are the things that I thought LeBron would be very supportive of. And instead, he says, oh, you guys are just trying to crush clutch sports and Rich Paul, and that's the Rich Paul rule. And I just feel like he should have. I feel like for a guy that's trying to be a true ambassador of the game of basketball to the rest of the world, to be a real representative of the NBA and the game and all this stuff and being the shining star that brings in numerous hundreds of thousands to millions of people to want to watch, you think he'd want to say something a little bit more about the kids, right? And he goes straight to himself and his company and his brand and his money and all that stuff. Now, he didn't say anything to that effect. He said nothing to that effect. Excuse me. But it's just the fact that he even came out and made that kind of tweet. That it just feels like your narcissistic, egotistical mind just went there, really. Not, this is good for the kids, this could really be helpful. No, it instantly goes to, you guys are trying to shut us down. I just can't stand the celebrity. That's the celebrity talking. That's not the person. That's not the athlete. That is the celebrity. And I don't, you know, and I know breaking down an athlete or any person into like three categories, not something I would recommend, right? Not something I would recommend. And I know there's more to LeBron than just those three things. But in the grand scheme of what his career has been from my perspective, it's been athlete, person, celebrity. The athlete is respectable. The person is somebody you can actually get behind and really grow to love because he's so charitable, he's so nice, he's such a good person, and all that stuff. It's the celebrity that I have a problem with because a celebrity seems to have such a high ego of himself, seems to be so narcissistic, so built on the idea of his business and his success, and only he can be the greatest of all time, that there's no room for anything else. So I really hope LeBron can figure this situation out. I don't know. So I don't hate LeBron. I dislike him in many factors, but that's more so because of the fact that when the celebrity him comes out, it makes me dislike him. Respect the athlete, love the person, very much so dislike the celebrity. That's all I'm going to say for LeBron. So we got a few more fan questions here. So another one we've got here. This comes from I'm sorry. This comes from Sheila. And she is based in San Francisco, California. She says, I live in San Francisco, but I've been an Oakland Raiders fan my whole life. I grew up in Oakland, but I recently moved to San Francisco for work and stuff. And she also says she just got promoted. So shout out to you, Sheila, for getting promoted. She said, basically, though, I've been following what's been going on with the Oakland Raiders, and I watched your shows where you guys talked about the Oakland Raiders and Antonio Brown, and I have to agree that I think the entire thing does feel like it may be set up for them to definitely lose. But my question to you guys are, do you think that Antonio Brown really is the new Terrell Owens, or do you think that this is just something that do you think this is absolutely nothing and it'll all evaporate away very quickly? So we kind of talked about this already. I won't make this too long, but thank you, Sheila, for the question. But this is this whole Antonio Brown thing, I understand for a lot of people has been very frustrating. For myself, it's a little bit frustrating too because, again, this is one of those things where it just feels like the ego of a player, the celebrity of a player is stepping through, right? I mean, we kind of made the claim that he's the new Terrell Owens. He's a new Terrell Owens. He's being a distraction. He's being sort of a bit of a headache right now for the people here. I don't know what it feels like in the locker room, though. I would be very interested to kind of see what it is. I don't know if they've talked about that in Hard Knocks now. I'm still not caught up. I apologize. I'm trying to get better at that. It's just been a very chaotic week for me, so I haven't really been able to catch up with it. But I'd be interested to know what the locker room thinks, because I know John Gruden says, I'm all in. I'm all in on this guy. I love him. He's a fantastic, stupid haircut and the nasally way he talks and stuff. I'm all in on the guy. I think he's great. I don't really know if John Gruden's actually saying that because he believes that, or I feel like he's just saying that to save face and trying to hopefully get Antonio Brown back on the field and not retire from the Oakland Raiders, right? It just feels a little off. The whole Oakland Raiders situation feels a little off. But when we talk about Antonio Brown, he is becoming the new Terrell Owens. And Terrell Owens, I didn't think, was he bad? Yes. He had a lot of bad moments. I thought he was terrific for the league, though, and that his antics were very fun and very funny, and they certainly were eye-popping for us, right? Whoever saw a player grab the pom-poms and do the dance, right? Who brings out a marker, and sign, signs a football? Who does those things? And I know Antonio Brown doesn't do those antics, but he's more compared to Terrell Owens in the fact that his off-the-field stuff is now affecting his on-the-field stuff, right? He goes to France, vacation, or for this treatment, whatever. He doesn't wear the proper footwear. He needs his feet. He's a receiver. You didn't think that going into a cryo chamber where they're using sub-zero liquid ice to cool your body and make sure that it's fully healthy and restored and recovered, you didn't think to maybe put on the shoes? That's embarrassing. That is full-on embarrassing. And I've seen the pictures. They're ugly. They're football players, feet when it comes to it, they're already nasty as it is. But, man, they look brutal. And I don't know, this could be something that really hampers him through the rest of his career. This could be something where he goes to Oakland and, oh, man, that's it, right? 3-4 good years. If even that, he may never eclipse 1,000 yards again. He may never play a full season again. Who knows? This injury could be more severe than we actually think, because he's still healing. His agent went on a couple radio shows I've heard. He went on a couple podcasts too, and the way that he made it sound, he's still healing. Antonio Brown's still healing through the injury, so he's not 100%. He may never be 100%. I just find it, the whole Antonio Brown situation, I just think it's funny. I find it interesting. I find it strange. I find it odd. I just find it completely out of the norm that this is happening, that this would happen. But for Antonio Brown, honestly, I I truly believe that this could be something that just says the Raiders are on the road to being a train wreck. Because you got to remember, they're moving out of Oakland next year. They're going to Vegas. And when they get to Vegas, what's going to be waiting there for them? I know that the travel from California to Vegas is not far, so Raider fans can still go there from Oakland, certainly. But you got to think, how many people want to make that trip now? To make the trip to Oakland was not that far, to the Coliseum. To now have to go to Vegas to go watch your favorite team, more people will say, nah, just going to do it from watch TV. Would rather do it that way. Because right now I can tell you the Vegas Raiders fan bases, not that big. It's not that big at all. I mean, I'm not expecting them to fill out stadiums. I'm not expecting them to fill out the whole new stadium in the arena. But I thought there would be a little bit more excitement for football to be back in Vegas. They're more excited about hockey in Vegas right now than they are with football. And that's shocking. That shell shocks me. I mean, I like hockey. You know, Tom loves hockey, but he hates the Vegas Knights. And he hates them because of the whole draft process and all that stuff. But like, it's weird, right? Vegas, which is a town in the desert, who's kind of known for being a basketball, football, baseball kind of place. Hockey's the most successful sport there, right? I mean, it's been the only professional franchise there in a long time. But more people seem to be excited about the hockey teams next season than they do that the fact that the Raiders are going to be there next year. I don't know. It's interesting. I find it intriguing. And I think Antonio Brown's situation is going to be a major downfall in that because he is a drawing card. Right? If anything else, he is a name to be able to put and say he is one of the biggest names in the league. He has been. He's been one of the poster childs. We put him on the cover of Madden. We're going to sell like crazy, right? People like Derek Carr. People seem to already like Josh Jacobs, even though he doesn't say anything. Right? People are very indifferent on John Gruden. But people seem to really like, or at least did like, Antonio Brown. But now all this extra stuff, man, it's a lot. It's just way too much. He's been talking since Pittsburgh. And I just don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know if this relationship is actually ever going to take place. So, I find it interesting. I find it to be intriguing for me. And I can't wait to see what comes on with the season. So, I'm going to finish it out with one last fan question, and this is kind of a personal one. And I find this one really interesting because I have a personal attachment to this, and this is why I'm taking this one. And it's this actually comes from a young man by the name of Christian. And Christian is actually from Indianapolis, Indiana. And Christian wrote, and he says he's been watching the show since we've been here on YouTube. He says he's really grown to like it. He says recently I just got into my second year of high school, and I'm really excited about it. I've been in sports my whole life. I've been playing baseball and football and basketball ever since. Basketball has usually been my prime sport, but now I'm moving more towards football. I've always been considered a pretty good, decent football player, and it looks like I might even have a really good opportunity to be playing on my team. But I do have to say that that there is a bit of a issue here because I'm now also finding myself now that I am more entwined in high school and a lot more things, I am finding myself more wanting to do other things outside of sports. So and I was just wondering if maybe you could help me out. Recently, I found out that I'm really into drawing. Well, or he says, well, I've always been into drawing, but he said recently I found out that I'm more into drawing, so he's more into it. I also do enjoy painting. I enjoy other things like with music and stuff. And I find that, and this one's really cool too. He's like, I'm also taking up an opportunity to do some acting as well. There's a play coming up not too far away, and I'm trying to make an audition for it. By the way, hit me up with what that play is. I might be able to help you. I have a little bit of an acting experience myself, which I'll talk about that here soon. But not to make it about me, but I'm just saying. But he goes on to say, he's looking into all these new things. And he says, basically, I feel like there's a dilemma because the more and more I want to do these other things, the less I feel like I want to play football and do the other sports. In fact, there's coming a point now where I'm feeling more and more like I might just want to play football and not do any other sports, and maybe just cut out sports altogether and just be a regular student and concentrate on these other extracurricular activities that I'm doing on the side. But I just feel bad because my grandfather played football his whole life. My father played football his whole life and played in college. My grandfather actually played in college and played a little bit in the NFL. That's pretty cool. And then my brother also played in high school and also played in college. No, I am not a starting quarterback. I play wide receiver and free safety as well as punt returner and kick returner. Awesome. But I'm just curious as to what if you could give me any advice on what I should do with this. I would be really intrigued. Thank you so much. Christian, first off, man, thank you so much for the question, man. This is our first question we've ever had actually from a person in high school. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. And I love this, and I wanted to talk about this question. I've been holding on to it for a couple weeks now, primarily because I have a personal connection with this question myself, where my whole life I was under that same belief myself. Like you mentioned, I also played sports ever since I was a little kid. From the time I was maybe 3 or 4, I was always in soccer or baseball, and a lot of baseball. I was always in baseball. I was always a baseball kid. And I always thought I never wanted to, actually. I never wanted to play sports, to be honest. I never did as a kid. I grew up in the 90s where, I had PlayStation and Nintendo. I didn't have both, but I had PlayStation. But then I had like a friend who had like Nintendo, and then I had another friend who had like Xbox, and we go at each other's houses and play games. And then you got all these cartoons on TV, and who wants to waste a Saturday morning going to a baseball field to play a baseball game when I could sit at home and stare at the WB and watch Teen Titans and Animaniacs and all that stuff. I'm dating myself here, by the way, with that one. But, that's the thing. I was not into sports growing up, and I never thought I would be. That's the strange thing about it when I talk to people and I tell them kind of my life story, and I tell them that for the first, 13 years of my life, I was not into sports, really. It only started back in high school, and I told this on the show with Jake on Putting Up Points. I said it all started when I watched the 2007 college national championship game, football national championship game between Texas and USC, that legendary game between Vince Young and Matt Leinart. And it intrigued me. I wanted to be a part of football. And then watching the Bears in 2006 go to the Super Bowl, it intrigued me. And I started to follow football so much more. And then when I got to high school, I just instantly said, I want to do that. And that's where my love of sports started. And I played 4 years of high school, and then I played 1 year of college. And then at some point, I started to realize that I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, so I cut sports out because I knew that as much as I loved doing it, it just wasn't going to take me to my next level. And I trudged around through, from one college to transferring to a community college for 4 years, and then eventually I came here to the illustrious Illinois Media School in Lombard, Illinois. Shout out for them. But, and it's one of those things where it's like, man, if I would have known about this place a couple of years ago, I don't know if I would have gone and played football. But I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and that was the hard thing for me. Now, luckily for you, Christian, I can say you're still young enough where you still have a lot of your life to be able to choose what you want to do. And reality is you have your whole life to do that stuff. People will change jobs and directions and loves in life all the time. It happens all the time. You're young. You're still a teenager. You're still growing up. I can't tell you what to do, but I will say this. When I was in high school myself, I played all 4 years on the football team. I went to Lombard North. I played 4 years on the football team. We had 4 really good years. And during that time, too, I was also doing things like wrestling. And I did a little bit of track and field, doing the shot put and discus and stuff. I did these other things to kind of preoccupy my time. But here's fun facts for everybody to know about me. Not to talk about me, but I'm just saying, like, here's fun facts about me that you guys probably will never know, but just a fun little thing for you guys to know. For over 10 years, I played an instrument. I played the trumpet. I started doing band, playing the trumpet in 4th grade or 5th grade, I believe it was. 5th grade, I think it was. And ever since then, I've been playing. And it's only recently I've actually been trying to get back into it because I'm just like, you know what, I bet I can do this again. I'm a little rusty. My trumpet's a little rusty itself because it's a little old, but Sylvia still plays a fine tune, I got to say. Yes, I named my instrument. Don't hate on me for that. But it's the thing, like nobody would, there's a lot of people that would be like, I didn't know that about you. And it's like, yeah, I play an instrument. But you wouldn't know that by looking at me. You wouldn't know that by knowing, I play football and stuff. You would think I'm not into that kind of stuff. Other thing is I was into acting. I never did any plays. But I was always into like writing scripts and stuff like that. I always wanted to write stories, and I went to see musicals and plays. I was always doing stuff. There's a lot of people that can contest to this. Like I don't know. I always found the arts very interesting, and I think a lot of that has to do with how I grew up too. Because my mother is a graphic artist, and she studied art at Circle at UIC. And she's taught me a lot about the great artists in our history. So I have a deep appreciation for drawing and painting. So I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're going through too. Like that difficulty of saying sports or other things. It's a difficult call. It's always difficult to make that call because you've dedicated your whole life, it feels, to this one thing. But now you want to do these other things. But all the time you seem to have in the world is put into this thing instead of the extra stuff that you really want to do. And it does become a dilemma. I can't lie about that. And I understand the whole family thing too. My dad was an all-state pitching for Waller High School back in the day when he went to high school here in Chicago. Waller no longer exists. They changed it to Lincoln Way, I believe it is. Sorry, Dad, if I got the name wrong. I apologize. I can't remember what they changed the name to. But I know it was Waller High School. I know that's where he went to high school. But he was a great pitcher, and he had possibilities. There was a strong possibility he could do great things, but he ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. My brother was a really good pitcher. He went to North Park University and played baseball there. He was a really good pitcher. And I thought that was going to have to be like my legacy too. Like, okay, your father was a baseball pitcher. He was really good. Your brother was a baseball pitcher. He was really good. He was also a really good football player, but he just didn't like getting hit. And then it's like, okay, now what? You have to be good. And I was decent at baseball, but I wasn't great. And I look back now on my little league years, and I think, you know what? I had a lot of fun. Back then, though, I was looking at it, I'm like, this is torture. Like I did not enjoy it at all. But Christian, it's okay if you don't feel like you don't want to play sports, because honestly, it's not the end of the world if you don't play it. I'm not saying that's what you should do. Don't say I told you to do this, okay? At the end of the day, you do have to make your own decision. And I would also suggest maybe talk to your family, talk to some friends. Talk to some teachers. Talk to a counselor, too. Talk to a guidance counselor at school. Maybe see how they feel about it. Because the truth is that, for football, I mean, you might I don't know how good you are, but you might be really great and you might get a chance to play in college, and that might pay for your college. Or, high school might be it. Who knows? I would not say give up on it, but I would also say don't neglect the things that you love to do. You love to draw, keep drawing. You love to paint, keep painting. I love to make music. I'm going to keep making music. I'm trying to put together a theme song right now for the show. I know we kind of got a little theme and all that stuff, intro already kind of set up, but I really want to have our own theme song. I'm trying to work on that right now personally myself. I haven't told anybody that, but I am. I'm trying to put something together. It's going to take a long time. I'm going to tell you that right now. But, it's something I'm interested in. I love coming on here and talking about sports. But I also like to go to the museum, and I like to look at, the paintings, and I like to look at, the old dinosaur bones and things like that. I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy going outside and playing catch with my friends like anybody else that would love to play football and stuff. But I also don't mind, taking in a movie or going to see a play or something. I've done before. Yeah, one of the things that I've always found is that oftentimes if you play football, that sometimes becomes something that defines you. And I will tell you this, Christian, and this goes for anybody out there, any young person out there. If you're an athlete, never let the sport define you as who you are, okay? It's a little life lesson for you right there. And I'm sure many of you may know that already. But if you haven't heard this before, don't let the sport define you for who you are, right? Christian, don't let football be the thing that defines you. Don't be defined as a football player. Be defined as Christian who plays football, who also likes to paint and draw and likes music and wants to maybe get into acting. I mean, dude, there was a football player by the name of Alex Karras way, way back in the day. Unfortunately, he passed away. The late, great Alex Karras played for the Detroit Lions, an NFL defensive tackle who's in the I think he's in the Hall of Fame. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, he should be in the Hall of Fame. But he also became an actor. His best-known role that I know of is in a movie called Blazing Saddles, where he plays a character called Mongo, who's just like this indestructible bodyguard kind of guy. By the way, if you're gonna watch that movie, anybody, be prepared for some outdated stuff, but also some very funny stuff. It's a very good movie. But there's a perfect example for you right there. A professional football player from back in the '60s who became an actor. Dick Butkus, here from Chicago, he became an actor. He didn't act in a lot of stuff, but he became an actor. Joe Namath became an actor from the Jets. The quarterback for the Jets, he became an actor. He did a lot of B-movie stuff. But that's my thing, is don't let sports define you. Be you, Christian, the person, the kid, whatever, the person that plays the sport and then does other things as well. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that, if I will say, though, that if you're feeling the difficulty, you're not alone in that, because I felt it a lot of times too. There were many times where I was playing in high school and I would see the guys from the theater and see the guys from band, and, I would kind of think to myself, like, maybe I should be with them. Like, I think I want to spend more time with them than I do actually being here at practice, because I'm sweaty, I'm tired, my knee hurts, my back hurts, my neck hurts, and then I gotta run after practice, and then it's just like I'm miserable for the rest of the day. They get to go home early, right? And they get to create things, and they get to do stuff, and they get to be a part of these magical moments. And that's why I did those things, and that's why I made myself a part of it. Trust me, I wish I would have done more on the acting side. I wish I would have taken an acting class, because that's something I've always kind of been very intrigued about. One of the things I've always wanted to do here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show is kind of make like sketch comedies. because I always thought that would be kind of fun. And we might do that at some point if we can get big enough and we can get a budget and we can find the time to actually do that stuff. But I've had some ideas I wanted to do. I think it would be really fun because then it's more content for you guys, and then we're also having fun, and also I'm then getting able to live out another part of my kind of dream in that fashion. So I wish I could give you like a true answer to kind of be like, here's what I think you should do. But the truth is, sit down and look into yourself and ask yourself, what do you like doing more? Talk to some of your friends, talk to your family, talk to a guidance counselor, talk to some of the teachers that you're involved with painting and drawing. Maybe talk to a coach even. I don't know. Yeah, I had a football coach, Coach Constantino. Shout out to him, Coach Nick Constantino. He played football, semi-pro ball for the Chicago Slaughter, which was awesome. He got to play with Peyton's younger son, Jared. And he coached us he coached me in high school when I was playing defensive line. And every now and then I would get a chance to kind of talk with him and stuff and get a chance to kind of get to know him and things like that. And some of the conversations we had, it just wasn't even about football. And I would tell him like, yeah, I'm in the band and stuff, and I'm also kind of doing some stuff on the side, like drawing and writing and stuff, and he'd be like, oh, that's good, man, that's good. And I'd be like, yeah, and it's just weird because sometimes I'm here, but I'd rather be doing that. And I just never forget. He told me once, he's like, hey, sometimes you just got to go with what you love, and you got to do what's right and what's best for you. And I've held on to that for a long time. Do what's right and what's best for you. It's good advice. It's, in fact, advice that we all hear, I know. And I'm sure you've heard that before yourself, Christian. But I will tell you, man, I will tell you the truth. It holds strong. And it's not the end of the world if you don't play football, okay? Again, I'm not telling you to not play, but it's not the end of the world if you don't play. All right? I quit wrestling and I quit playing. I did not return for track, and I stopped wrestling. The only scary part was when I stopped wrestling, the wrestling coach came and hunted me down and then tried to tell me not that I wasn't quitting, but I told him to his face, no, I'm done wrestling. I'm not doing this anymore. It was hard to do, trust me, but you know what? It had to be done. It sucks, but you know what? At the end of the day, I'm happier for it because I got a chance to be able to concentrate on more things. And then I had more free time then during the year to be able to try and study. I didn't study all the time, but I bumped my grades up a little bit. I was able to hang out with friends. I was able to have, make new friends, go out and do other things. Definitely had more time to be able to have some relationships, be able to date. Yeah, that was important for me, I mean, we all want to try new things and busy ourselves up with different things in our lives, especially in high school. But there's also comes a point, too, where I feel like even in high school, you do have to kind of take a step back and kind of look at yourself and say, do I have to really do all this stuff? Maybe I'll just pick a few things and just do that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like everybody should be able to kind of get involved in that kind of stuff. I really do. Get involved in music. Get involved in theater. Get involved in art, writing, whatever, book club, I don't know. Do extracurricular things outside of just being a football player or a basketball player or a baseball player or whatever to kind of stretch yourself out as a person and grow a little bit more. You might find yourself actually developing into somebody new, somebody that you didn't even know about. You may discover new things about yourself. I know I did when I played band. I had no idea I was such a good musician. I know I'm tooting my own horn. That's a pun for you right there. I'm so sorry for that one. But I always felt I was a really good musician, and it proved to be pretty well because, in middle school, I made it up to first chair, which is like the lead of the trumpets and stuff, or a section of the instruments or whatever. I did it all throughout middle school. I did it all throughout orchestra band and jazz band, and I did it for a while in high school, and then I got bumped down again in high school, and then I made it back up at the top again in my senior year. And I did that in orchestra and jazz band, and I learned a lot about myself through doing music, and that is I'm really good at this. And if I really concentrate, I could really be very good at doing music. And it's always been a part of me. Music's a part of me now. And the same thing goes for painting and drawing and art and acting and all that stuff. It's all a part of me. I just don't use those portions as much because my career now is centered around mostly talking about sports. And that's not the end of the world, though. But this is not really what I'm using to define me. This right here, this whole thing, this doesn't define me. Oh, it's a big part of me. It's a big piece of me. It is the brand that I use to sell myself on everything and everybody. But it is not the final thing that defines me. There's more that we're going to do with this show. There's more that I want to do with this show. And we're going to do it. It's just a matter of how much is it going to cost, obviously, and also how much time we have. We all have different schedules, but I do want to do some sketch comedies. We do want to get some podcasts going in here. We do want to do like some after dark kind of stuff where we maybe take on some challenges. And I know there's some of you guys who have mentioned some stuff. One of you guys asked us if we would do like a beer pong competition. Another person asked if we would do a race, which Tom made a suggestion on go-kart racing. Okay. One person said we should do the marriage game. I don't know how we're gonna do that. That'll be interesting. Are you talking about like me and Tom doing the newlywed game? The newlywed game. Or is it gonna be like me and Tom do the newlywed game, and then Tyler and Jake do do the newlywed game as well? Is it gonna be that kind of competition? Like, I don't know what that means, but it intrigues me. I'm intrigued by that. And so many other different recommendations were made. I posted it on Facebook, and I said, vote on your favorite, and I'll bring them back up at some point, and then we'll post them again, kind of see what you guys like, what you guys think. We'll do a voter poll on Twitter maybe for the final ones that you maybe want to see, and then we'll start working on it. Also, too, I'm also trying to maybe see if we can maybe do some vlogs. I know the Shed Aquarium has some free days in September. I've already made a suggestion that, maybe we can all get down there. Everybody can come with, all the girlfriends and fiancés or, friends or whatever we want to bring. And we just have a day down at the Shed Aquarium. We film it, and then we put it up on the YouTube page. And you guys kind of get to see a day in the life of X-Bomb behind the scenes when we're just kind of hanging out, which we don't get really a chance to because we're all kind of doing a lot. And then I can finally maybe meet Jake Jr. if he would be interested in that. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, look, we want to do more stuff. And so, Christian, I know I got a little sidetracked on that, but Christian, I'm just saying, like, don't let you playing football be the end-all, be-all. Do those other things. Explore those things. Be a part of those things. Let them be a part of you. You might be interested to find that, who knows, you may be the next Leonardo DiCaprio. You may be the next, Rembrandt. You may be the next Alex Karras. I don't know. Who knows? Try new things. Try new things. Experience life. Experience the world. Take it in. You're still young. You're still growing. You don't have to decide right now what you want to do with your life or how you want to fix things in. You have all the time in the world for that. And even after they supposedly say that you're supposed to do it, guess what? It doesn't need to be the end-all, be-all. Because they said by 21, I should find out what I'm doing. I'm 26. I just recently started figuring out what I want to do. It's going to take some time, but I'm going to get there eventually. I'm working on it right now as we speak. We're all working on it as we speak. And trust me, I wish the other guys were here too, so they could give a little bit of more of a take on it, because I'm sure they've all had their experiences, and I wish the speakers were up here too, so that Jake could maybe give his own experiences and on this too. But we've all kind of gone through that. But there's always stuff behind us that just don't define us. We love talking about sports, but I know like Tom's into music, and I'm sure Tyler has other things outside of football, and I'm sure Jake has other things outside of fantasy football that he likes and outside of sports and stuff. We all do. So go out there, experience new things, love life, be a part of it, find something new for yourself. You might be fascinated with what you find. And that just is not just for you, Christian. This goes out to any high school kid that sees this, any person that sees this. Go for it. You may be fascinated with what you find. And so with that, guys, I know we didn't get through too many questions, but unfortunately we got to get out of here because, one, my voice is starting to go. I can already feel it. But the other thing is, too, I also got to get to work. But this has been great. I'm so glad we got a chance to do this because I wanted to answer some of these questions, especially that one. Christian, again, thank you so much for the question. Again, anything you guys want to ask us, hit us, find us on any of our social media. Hit us with some questions. If you want our email, xbpofficial@gmail.com. No I between official. I know I misspelled it. But it's in the description down below. So if you guys want to email us, you guys can go find it. Email us a question. Hit us up. We would love to hear from you guys with more fan questions. I'd love to get those. Right now, I'm kind of just finishing the last ones off from our personal email that we used to get through the Facebook and through the YouTube here. I've kind of changed it over now. So I'm finishing up the last of these. So send them now to xbpofficial@gmail.com. So, guys, this has been great. Make sure... if you guys want to find me on Twitter, I'm at @TheFluffyGuru on Twitter. If you guys want to find me on Instagram, I am the Boom Crew Captain. You can follow me there where I post videos and pictures and all that stuff. I just did a live stream when Jake was talking some fantasy. He didn't get a chance to see it. It's kind of a bad-looking thing, but we were on Putting Up Points, so make sure to go check out Putting Up Points. I'm not usually on there with Jake Bradley, Tyler Prickett. They always do a great job out there on Putting Up Points. SportsTownChicago.com is where they're located. They go from 12 to 2 every Saturday. Tyler, unfortunately, wasn't here, but I filled in for him. I know he was probably pretty upset because we talked some pretty serious fantasy here. So, sorry, Tyler, but, it is. I hope I made you proud, man. I tried to do my best. But yeah, make sure to go check them out. Follow them, XBPUP on Twitter. Follow them there, where they are always posting new stuff in the world of sports and things like that. Excuse me. Guys, if you want to follow us on our Facebook page, @Team XBomb Sports, make sure to go there, @Team XBomb Sports. Find our seasons 1 and 2 there where you can see where we started and now see where we have come to here in season 3, of course, being on the YouTube page. I don't know when it's going to be season 4. I can't really tell you when that change is going to happen. Probably when the next significant change maybe happens. I don't know. We'll see. But, but you guys can see those old videos there. The other thing, too, is that you guys can also follow us on our Twitter, @Team XBomb Sports. You can find us there, follow us there, where we're trying to do more updates with that as well. That is just @XBomb Sports. It's the same for our Instagram, @XBomb Sports as well. We put up videos, we post the shows, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to try to find time where we can maybe cut up some of these videos and post some of these on the Instagram as well. Kind of give you guys more content on there maybe. I know a lot of things are fluctuating now more towards Instagram, so we'll try to see if we can work that in. But again, time is one of the big things always there. Also, too, the XBomb Productions Twitter account as well. We never plug that one. It's XBP_official. That is the Twitter. Please go follow us there, where we'll give you the updates for the new XBomb Sports live shows. We'll give you the updates on the new Putting Up Point shows. We will give you, fun things to talk about. When we start doing other things, we'll also post it there as well. And, you'll be able to see what's going on as well for XBomb Productions, which right here from YouTube, X-Bomb Productions. Like, comment, and subscribe on all the videos, guys. If you want to leave your questions, if you don't want to email us your questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I look through them all the time, and we usually don't get any because most of the time we get the emails. But if you guys want to leave the comments, I encourage you guys, please leave the comments, like the videos, subscribe to the channel so you guys can get new updates. Like I said, we're gonna try to do new things. I don't know exactly when everything's going to go into full force. I know maybe this Monday we might be doing our first ever podcast. Myself and Tom and maybe Jake if he can get there. I don't know just yet how that dealio is going to go down, but we're going to find out for you guys, and hopefully when we do get that whole thing going, we'll let you guys know where to find it. Anchor.fm-xbomb is where you can find all the videos going to audio form. If you guys want to listen to that, anchor.fm-xbomb to find it. Also putting up points. You can also find the episodes there as well. We're going to try to add some new stuff in there with some of the shows, some of the old shows we've done, some of the really old shows from season 1 and 2. Give some throwbacks there for like Throwback Thursdays and things like that. But and I think that is everything. I think we've got everything covered there. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been great. This has been a lot of fun, and this has been I've enjoyed this one very much so. We should be back Wednesday, full crew, hopefully. If not, we will see what happens. But thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you guys next week. And as always, much love and peace out, Boom Crew.